Let's talk week 5 running back ranks for the NFL for fantasy football. These are PPR ranks, and I'm going to name off players. I'll put them on the screen in groups of 5. They will be ranked in order as shown on screen, and I'll talk about some guys from each chunk. If I don't have anything to say, I won't waste your time with it. Before we jump into all the ranks, I'm going to pop in from the future because since recording this and releasing it, multiple players have been ruled out. So Bucky Irving is likely to miss this game and he will be replaced by Sean Tucker and Rachaad White for the Buccaneers. And Trey Benson has been moved to IR. He will be replaced by Michael Carter and Emari Demercado in a third down role. So we've seen Michael Carter lead this team, lead the Cardinals on offense. I've got him plugged in at 34. I don't know his role. I'm not confident to start him. I put Emari Demercado at 35 in a third down role for them. I just don't know that he's very good. This might just be a team that struggles to run the ball. I've got Rachaad White and Michael Carter at 25 and 26 now, or about 26 and 27, right in that range. So when we get to the point where it's Woody Marks, Chase Brown, I think I had Trey Benson in that tier, that's where guys like Rachaad White and Michael Carter will slot in. Okay, I'll let the rest of the video play. There will still be conversations about Bucky Irving. He won't be starting, though, is what we expect. Thank you. Let's pull up the first group of guys. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs at 1, Jonathan Taylor at 2, Achane at 3, McCaffrey, and then James Cook playing the Patriots. Not that much to say other than, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs playing one of the worst defenses in the NFL, the Bengals. I'll say they might not be the worst overall defense, but as a team, if the Bengals offense can't sustain a drive, if they're three and out like we just saw on Monday night, that defense, even if they have good players, they can't last, and teams will pile up points in the second half. And a team like the Lions won't stop putting on points. They'll just keep scoring until the clock runs out. They're not really looking to run out the game or really looking to respect any other team's dignity. I like that about the Lions. I like that for fantasy football, and I've got Jahmyr Gibbs at 1. Other notable players here, Achane at 3. Even without Tyreek Hill, I'm expecting this ball to get spread around to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, Jalen Waddle, maybe a little bit of Darren Waller, and a lot of Achane. They might also draw up more run plays for Ollie Gordon to get the ball to other guys and get successful plays and take some of the targets and plays that would have gone to Tyreek Hill and spread that throughout the offense. And the Panthers defense does not spook me for running. So Achane I've got at 3. James Cook, very high ranking for him. Got him playing the Patriots. Sunday night game, until I see a team slow down the Bills more than maybe the Saints did, I'll be starting James Cook and Josh Allen in every league that I have them. The next group of 5, I've got Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, Kyren Williams, and Bucky Irving. Kyren Williams playing in the Thursday night game at home against the 49ers. They're favored by 6.5, so I'm expecting a good amount of rushing in that game with the lead. Ashton Genty broke out against the Bears on Sunday. I think some of that was due to the Bears missing key players on defense, like multiple key players. But Ashton Genty is an elite talent, and even though we saw it first happen against a softer defense, I think it can happen against the Colts, and I think it can happen against a lot of NFL teams as he really develops into his own player and adjusts to the game speed of the NFL. Other players here, Derrick Henry playing the Texans. Even if they don't have Lamar, I think Derrick Henry can get the ball going against this Texans defense. He has had some rough weeks with teams being able to put up points on the Ravens, and then they are trailing, and he's not used as much. I don't see the Texans doing that as well as, say, the Chiefs did. So I think they can get a classic Derrick Henry game here and get a lot of rushing yards. And then Saquon Barkley outside the top 5, and that is just because of the Broncos matchup. It's a tough matchup for running backs. It's a tough matchup for any offense. Next group of players at 11, I've got Breece Hall. 12, Ken Walker. 13, Travis Etienne taking on the Chiefs. 14, David Montgomery against the Bengals, and 15, Alvin Kamara against the New York Giants. Number one guy I want to talk about here is David Montgomery. We talked about it with Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm starting any and all Lions. Anyone who knows a lion, anyone who's ever seen a lion at a zoo, I will be starting against the Bengals. I just don't know that the Bengals offense can keep this defense off the field. And I don't know that the defense is very talented to keep a team from scoring. So, like I said earlier, this offense can't keep the defense off the field. I'll counter that. I'll add on to that and say, like, the defense isn't out there that long because teams can just score at will on them. So maybe they're not totally out of breath because they let up points so quickly. Regardless, an offense like the Lions, I thought the Lions might take a step back this year. We only saw that through week 1. They are cruising and they are able to score on anyone, especially a team like the Bengals. I'm starting David Montgomery. I've got Alvin Kamara here going again here at 15. Even with Kendre Miller working into a larger role, Kendre Miller is only seeing about 30% of the snaps, and Alvin Kamara will continue to get targets and will continue to get work on the ground. And against the Giants, I'm ready to go back to him. Other players here, Breece Hall facing the Cowboys. The Cowboys did trade for Kenny Clark to shore up that rushing defense, but teams are scoring on the Cowboys. And I think the Jets, even if they aren't the greatest offense, will have a decent day against the Cowboys. Got Ken Walker taking on the Bucks at 12. I might be high here. Maybe in later versions of the ranks, I'll revise Ken Walker down. It is a tough running matchup, but at any point, he can break a big play. He's looking for big plays. There's some weeks where it doesn't hit, and there's plenty of times where he's going to get tackled, turns it around, and turns that into a 20 to 30-yard run. So I'll be starting Ken Walker quite a bit. I know Ken Walker didn't get all of the work in the second half this past weekend, but I think a lot of that was because he threw a ball at a player and got benched by his coaches. There was a taunting penalty, and then he sat for a while, and Charbonnet got work. Through 4 weeks, I don't know what this team is for running back. We've seen Ken Walker coming off of a lingering injury in week 1. We've seen Charbonnet miss games. We've seen Ken Walker get benched in the second half for taunting. I still don't feel like I can confidently say that it's a 50-50 split. I think they want to go to Ken first if they can. I might be wrong, but I'll be singing that until I'm dead. The next group of players, I've got J.K. Dobbins at 16, Hampton at 17, Hubbard at 18, Quinshon Judkins in England facing the Vikings at 19, and Jordan Mason on the other side of that matchup taking on the Browns in England at 20. I like Judkins a lot. I like Mason quite a bit. I really like those defenses though. So the Browns have an amazing defense. The Vikings have a really good defense. If these teams weren't playing each other, both of these guys would be ranked much higher. But they are playing each other. They're playing each other overseas. It's a weird schedule. It's a weird game for the players. I've got them at 19 and 20. I'm starting them generally if I have them, but I don't know that I don't feel confident about how I can predict those games. J.K. Dobbins has had a great season so far. Playing the Eagles, it's an incredibly hard rushing defense. I have him with a slightly slower day. The next group of players, I've got R.J. Harvey at 21 in that same matchup against the Eagles, Tony Pollard at 22, Javonte Williams at 23, Scatabo at 24, and Travion Henderson at 25 taking on the Bills. We've seen Henderson getting more and more work. Not as quickly as we as fantasy football fans want, and Ramondre Stevenson has a key role in this offense. In these ranking videos last week, I said, hey, slow down. We're the ones saying Ramondre's benched. After that video, the coaches said, we're not benching Ramondre Stevenson. He's still a good player. I think the Patriots will continue to bring Travion along and move him into the lead role, but Ramondre Stevenson isn't going anywhere. He's not really cuttable, and he is talented. He's just not as talented as we would want for fantasy football. So until we see otherwise, it's these two guys, possibly a third option there with Antonio Gibson. But I do think that Travion Henderson can take on a larger and larger role each week, and that his best games are still in the future for us. Other players in this group, R.J. Harvey playing the Eagles. I just think that they'll need to spread the ball around and do a lot to score on these Eagles, and that the Eagles can probably put up points on the Broncos. I've got Tony Pollard playing the Cardinals at 22. I don't know that I'm ever really going to move him into the top 20 or ever really move him out past 30. He's just a lead running back who is okay. And in this matchup, I think he can do okay. There's not that much to say about him. I've got Cam Scatabo at 24 taking on the Saints. The Giants are now without Malik Neighbors, unfortunately. I don't know how the Giants are going to take those 140, 150 targets that Malik Neighbors was on pace to get and divvy that up throughout the rest of the team. I think some of those targets just go away. The Giants won't be as good without Malik Neighbors, but some of that work will go to Slayton. Some of that work will go to Wan'Dale Robinson. Some of that work will go to dump offs to the running backs. Cam Scatabo can catch the ball. Devin Singletary can catch the ball. When Tyrone Tracy comes back, he can catch the ball. He's a converted wide receiver. They can move it around. And although this offense won't be quite as good as they were without Malik Nabers, all that work, the remaining work, will get spread out to everyone in the offense. I've got Cam Scatabo here at 24. I don't know that he's a full workhorse back. The Giants will keep bringing in other guys to work alongside him. The next group of 5 I've got is Woody Marks taking on the Ravens, Chase Brown taking on the Lions, Trey Benson against the Titans, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Ramondre Stevenson rounding out 29 and 30. I'm going to believe that Ramondre Stevenson has a role on these Patriots until I see him getting 30% of the snaps. They will just keep going to him because he's not bad. He's an okay NFL running back. He's not an amazing fantasy option like we once thought he was. We kind of wish he would go away and that they would only go to Travion. But I'm going to trust that NFL coaches know a little bit more about their players than I do, and I just have to adjust to what they do. Me sitting here saying they should go to Travion, he's the best player. I don't know that. I'm not at practice. I don't know that. I don't know their plan for winning. They won with their game plan on Sunday. I'm going to just keep watching what they do and react to it rather than trying to dictate how running backs should be used. So I've got Ramondre in a role. I have him at 30. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, another player like that where Chris Rodriguez has moved into that role. He wasn't dressing for games, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was, and we decided he was the guy ahead of him. I might need to put Chris Rodriguez into these rankings, but I've got Merritt at 29 as a player I do want to start, and I want to see him continue to expand his role. Just I don't want to start him if I don't have to. I've got Trey Benson at 28, another player that we thought we knew what he would be or the role he would have. As of this recording, he's sick. The Cardinals have signed other players to their practice squad and elevated players. That's not a good sign for a player's availability on Sunday. We'll wait and see what happens, but even if he is starting, I don't expect him to have 70%, 80% of the touches. I think it's going to be a split workload, and I don't know that he's good enough to be a lead back or good enough to be a consistent RB2 for you. Rounding out this group, Woody Marks at 25 taking on the Ravens. Similar to what we've been saying, we want him to overtake Nick Chubb. We think he's better than Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb still has a role in this offense, and until I see him disappear, Woody Marks is going to be a part-time player. And then Chase Brown has fallen from where he was drafted to be a top 12 running back to running back 27 against the Lions. I'm not fully out on Chase Brown for the year. He just has a tough stretch of defensive matchups. He just played the Vikings. He just played the Broncos. Those are two very good defenses. The Lions also have a great running defense when they're healthy. If I can get away from Chase Brown, I am. If Joe Burrow were still healthy, Chase Brown would still be ranked low for me this week because of the Lions' defense. The final group of 5 players I've got is Bijan Robinson at 31 against the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco on the other side of that matchup facing the Jags, Zach Charbonnet at 33, Nick Chubb at 34, and Jerome Ford at 35. I don't really want to be starting at Jerome Ford. You could put a lot of other players into this spot. I'm not going to say much about him. 31, Bijan Robinson taking on the Chiefs. Tootin has a role. I don't know that he ever overtakes ETN. And this is one situation where ETN is really talented, and I think we all agree with that. So he's not going to fully overtake ETN, just like Travion Henderson isn't fully overtaking Ramondre Stevenson. But Tootin is good with the ball in his hands, and he's been finding the end zone. I've got him at 31. You can start him if you need to. Isaiah Pacheco is not fully back and is not the lead guy for the Chiefs. We might see Isaiah Pacheco get more work as more players keep coming back to this offense, as Xavier Worthy comes back fully healthy, as Rashee Rice gets worked back into this offenses, and teams have to defend the pass a lot more. But right now, Isaiah Pacheco has had stat lines of 10 for 22, I don't know, like 10 for 40-ish. That's what he's doing. He's not the lead guy in this offense. He's not great when he's out on the field. I want to get away from him if I can, and I don't really want him on my team if I don't have to have him. That's kind of how I feel about Isaiah Pacheco. I've got him at 32 for this week. I don't know that I'm ever really going to have him inside my top 30 running backs until we see a lot of change. So those are the 35 running backs that I have ranked for this week. We've got a lot of guys out on bye, like Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Gainwell, Bijan Robinson, Algier, Jalen Warren, DeAndre Swift. So if you were looking for those guys, that's why they're not in the rankings. If this has helped you set your lineup, please, thank you. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. There should be a YouTube hype feature that I think I'm eligible for. I don't know exactly how it works. What I've heard is you need 500 subs, and I've hit that. So there should be something that says hype. I don't know what it does, but please, it doesn't hurt. Please try it out. But Ashton,